So good morning, class. I am teacher Ocon&Signabon, and I will be your English teacher for today. So before we move on to our main agenda, let us first identify our learning objectives. Next slide, please. Okay, so at the end of this lesson, you are able to define prose and its role in writing. Next, adapt the diverse genres and styles of prose. And lastly, you are able to create your own prose poetry relating to the given short story. So obviously, based on our objectives, you already have an idea what will be our topic for today. Okay? So, but before we move on, let me ask you some questions. So you may raise your hand if you want to answer. So the question is, have you ever tried borrowing something from anyone and then lost it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I tried borrowing my sister's shirt and I misplaced it.
Oh, so what are the exact words you told to her?
Her shirt and that I didn't mean to.
So how did you handle the situation so that your sister will not get angry at you?
I was being honest about it and that I was very apologetic about it, and I said that I can replace it.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Charlene, for sharing your experience. Anyway, what we have done has to do with the lesson or with the activity that we will be having today. So to start with, what comes to your mind if you hear the word prose?
Prose would be the words that comes with my mind when I hear the word prose would be ordinary writing.
Yes, that would be connected to prose. So let's define prose. So prose comes from the Latin word prosa oratio, which means straightforward. So it says here that prose refers to any written work that follows a basic grammatical structure. Think words and phrase arranged into sentences and paragraphs. This stands out from works of poetry which follow a metrical structure. Prose simply means language that follows the natural patterns found in everyday speech. So, in simple words, prose is the ordinary form of written or spoken language. So, it follows the natural flow of speech. For example, you communicating with your sister or communicating with your friend, that is considered as prose. Other examples are textbooks, lectures, novels, short stories, fairy tales, newspaper articles, and essays. So prose doesn't follow, always remember that prose doesn't follow any formal structure unlike poetry, ganon. Okay, so let's move on to the function of prose. Okay, so this is by Sir George Orwell. So the first function is that prose fulfill a story's promise. In literature, the basic purpose of prose in writing is to convey an idea, deliver information, or tell a story. So the prose is the way a writer fulfills her basic promise to a reader to deliver a story with characters, with setting, conflict, plot, and a final pay off. So with the help of prose, a writer can be as imaginative and creative as they want without following any grammatical structure until they are able to make a complete story that can satisfy their readers and convey a specific point. Next, we have, next slide, it creates a voice. So each writer has their own way of using language called a writer's voice. So what is a writer's voice? Writer's voice refers to the rhetorical mixture of vocabulary, tone, point of view, and syntax that makes phrases, sentences, and paragraphs flow in a particular manner. And to craft and show off this voice, writers usually write prose stories so that they can also show the readers their moods and attitudes by the use of their words or even their punctuations. Lastly, we have, next slide. So prose builds rapport through familiarity. So prose is often in way of conversational. So this familiarity helps connect readers to a story and its characters. So writers who write prose use the same words that the readers use in their everyday life. That is why prose is very relatable to many readers because they can relate to what is happening or what the characters are saying in the story. So those are the functions of prose in writing. So let's move on to the genres of prose, and Miss Charlene will be tackling that. Miss Charlene, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let us now proceed to the genres of prose. So here I prepared 4 genres of prose. First, we have nonfiction, fictional prose, heroic prose, and prose poetry. So let's discuss first the non-fictional prose. When we say non-fiction, what comes to your mind, Miss Carrillo?
Nonfiction, I think when it tells about facts or it conveys through events.
Very good. That's exactly what is nonfiction means. So, but here in non-fictional prose, it is the prose that is a true story or factual account of events or information. So, and next is the fictional prose naman. So when we say fictional prose, it's just the exact opposite of nonfiction, of course. So fictional prose is a literary work of fiction. This is the most popular type of literary prose used in novels and short stories, and generally has characters, plot, settings, and dialogue. So third would be heroic prose. Heroic prose is a literary work that is either but is meant to be recited. So heroic prose is usually a legend or we have prose poetry. So prose poetry is a poetry that is written in prose form. This literally hybrid can sometimes have rhythmic and rhyming patterns. French poet Charles wrote prose poems, including Be Drunk, which starts off, and if sometimes speech in the mouthful solitude of your room. So those are the proceed. So I guess no more questions. Distinction from drama. So the prose is made up of sentences and paragraphs without any metrical structure, while drama is a piece of writing that is full of on the stage and uses dialogue. Here I prepared a reading activity, but you could just read it silently, and then I have some questions after you read it. So make sure to read it, but you don't have to read it out loud, just read it silently. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, just let me know when you're done reading and then I will proceed. Okay, just let me know when you're done.
We're done, ma'am.
Okay, you're done. So the short story that you just read is entitled The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. It is an interesting story, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I prepared some question. So first is, who are the characters in the story and what are their roles?
The first character in the story is Matilde Loisel. She is the main character of the story, I think, and she dreams of becoming rich, even though they already have everything. She still want more because she is very conscious about her middle class status. Next is Monsieur Loisel. He is Mathilde's husband and a government clerk. And lastly, we have Madame Forestier. She is Mathilde's friend, rich friend, where she borrowed that diamond necklace.
Very good. I think you answered that very well. And it just shows that you really read the activity. Thank you so much for cooperating, but that doesn't end there. My next question would be, why do you think Mathilde acted like that at the beginning of the story?
For me, I think it is because she is not contented with what she had, and she is very jealous with the other women in their place, and she felt that she deserved better than what she had. And also, I think because she is unhappy with her husband anymore, and what do we call that? She is unhappy with her husband, and she felt that she should have married a richer man or um, higher social class man.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And, thinking about it, it's really sad, but there's actually other people, that feels that way, and we just can't judge them. But okay, so the next question, what is the climax of the story?
I think the climax occurs when Madame Loisel has or Madame Loisel realizes that the necklace she borrowed from her friend is truly lost because that is the most emotional and interesting part of the story.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Kirill, for answering these questions. And of course, the lesson that we can get in from the story is that we should be contented with what we have, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have two more questions. Why do you think this story is considered prose?
I think because the story contains normal conversation of people where the readers can easily relate. And another is that the story uses words that are usually used in everyday speech and does not follow any formal structures. And in addition, the story was written freely by the author.
Very good, very good. Seems like you are understanding prose pretty much. Okay, lastly is among the four genres of prose that I have discussed earlier, which of these is the genre of the necklace? And why do you think it is?
I think the work The Necklace falls under the genre of nonfiction. Though it is a short story, it should be fiction. But for me, I will consider it as nonfiction because um, it conveys facts and true events that are really happening to people that feels insecure about themselves.
Exactly. So that's pretty much it for our lesson for today. Thank you so much once again. So your activity for the next meeting, I mean, you are going to pass this next meeting. So you will be tasked to create your own prose poetry by answering the question. So can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's the question. So what do you think of Madame Louisa's life after she discovers the truth? You will be going to create your own prose poetry by answering that question. Clear? But the criteria would be, of course, your originality, creativity, of course, the content and coherence of forms and the structure. That would be 30 points.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, question?
None so far, ma'am.
Okay, so then we should end our meeting. Bye.
Bye.